I've interviewed some people on this podcast, but I am possibly the most excited to welcome Carson Garrett to Science of the Southland. Not only is he current student at Georgia Tech, just made the Final Four in Survivor, which is a very rare feat for any human being on this planet. So to start, I want to do the generic tech intro. Give me your name, give me your year, and give me your major.
Yes, I am Carson Garrett. I am going into my fourth year at Georgia Tech, and my major is aerospace engineering.
Nice, nice. I graduated about a year ago, so we overlapped for
Oh,
2-3 years somewhere in there.
yeah.
I was in the business school though, so I my world never touches aerospace at any point. But anyways,
I wish they were more interrelated. Like, I feel like
I do
there's a
too.
lot of like marketing and stuff that would be really cool. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that makes sense.
Um, let's start talking about the game. So y'all filmed last June, correct?
Yes,
Um,
yeah, so
so
long ago. Oh my
so
gosh.
I almost a year. Okay, so and you know about everything that happens on the. I mean, as much as you can know, literally playing the game, and now you've watched the game. But I've always wondered when you get back, can you say any like? Can you even tell your family anything? Like, are you so held down that it's just like you can only talk? Can you at least talk to other players? Like, could you, Carolyn and Jam Jam, at least be like, oh, that was funny, or are you just on complete lockdown until episodes start?
So, I didn't tell my family or anybody anything,
Okay.
and I kind of kept it in my own head, and it makes it a lot more fun. My family found out last night that I lost, but I
Wow.
kind of like the idea that they didn't know what
Yeah.
was going to happen. Like, I kind of like the idea that they thought I had $1 million in my pocket. It gave me more opportunity to be like, I'm going to Greece next week.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of compartmentalizing, and you don't want to ruin the story. So like for me,
Right.
I
Right.
kept it
Yeah.
to myself. So I also am one of those people, you read the book before you watch the movie, and I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to spoil them. I wanted them
Mm-hmm.
to live it through my
Yes.
eyes
Yes.
throughout the story. And so I found it way more fun for them to have to find out through the episodes the night of. They were always on the edge of their seat, standing beside me, crying,
Oh,
screaming. It was so fun.
that's incredible. Would you like give them like little tidbits like they didn't show like during the episodes to at least fill in some gaps, or was it just pure you just watched the show until after?
I told my family, I said, because they're all under the same NDA I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, so technically I could have told them, but I didn't want to.
Okay.
I said you can ask me one question about the game, but it can't have anything to do with my placement. And
Mm.
so the only person who remembered to ask me, which is so funny, is my mom, and she asked me, "Did you find an idol?" And I said yes. So she was the only
Mm-hmm.
one that knew something, but I that was all she knew, and so she went into the game not even knowing what to expect, and like it was so fun for them to watch. I think they lived through my eyes, and that's what I wanted, because it
That's
was
really
such
cool.
an emotional and an incredible experience for me. So
Yeah. That's insane. I've been watching this show since I was 5, I think 4 or 5, so around Survivor All Stars
oh, I
ish
love that.
era. I think I know a decent amount about the game, but of course I've never played, so I'm missing a lot of it.
Your
Um,
articles, you definitely know what's going on.
all right, well I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. The edit's been good. In that case. But between like all the prep work you did and all the training you did, was there something about the game or yourself that you really could only find out once you got there?
That's a great question. Yes. Whenever do you practice lying or manipulating in person? Like, that's not something people do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was going in with intention, I'm going to lie and manipulate everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, when you get there, you're like, okay, well, am I a good liar? I don't know. Like, and so that's something I never expected to have. I didn't know how I would do, and I ended up being great at it. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a good skill to be proud of, but I was
Yeah.
really good at it. So I think that like that was something I didn't know how I was going to do, and
Yeah.
I surprised myself a lot. Like some people, like I think that a lot of people go through that. They're like, well, I'm just gonna see how it happens. That's
Yeah.
something you really don't practice in person. Like, how am I gonna manipulate you today? Like, no,
Yeah.
no one does.
That, yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
yeah. That would
that's
be
messed up.
that'd be
That's so
worrying.
psychopath.
Yeah, that'd be worrying. But yeah, it's such a weird place in the game where it's just like, yeah, freedom to lie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
You're
thing.
like, okay, am I good at this? Are they lying to me? I have no idea. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
So paranoid. Oh boy. Let's go to Final Five. In
Yes.
that moment after once you know you got Final Five and you are in it and you've made the finale on the island, did you think you had the best shot at winning at that point?
Yes, I did. I think everyone had been saying like, you're going to win, you're going to win, you're going to win. Carolyn had been telling me that since the beginning of the merge. I think Jam Jam didn't see me as big of a threat, but that was
Mm-hmm.
because we were working so closely, and it was part of my game to make him not as feel
Yeah.
like I was
Yeah.
running it and letting him believe that he was, in the front runner, but really I was the one, weaving that information between in and out of alliances. So I think my relationships with each and every one of the jurors was very strong, and I could have convinced them at the end to that my game was very intentional. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my game was like building those relationships, making people feel so connected with me that I would never betray them. And
Yeah.
so I think that like I would have pulled the win out at the end, and I knew I had to get through, and it was going to be really difficult because my game had become so present, and everyone could see like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
Carson is going to win. And so it was scary too. It's like I was on the edge of my seat, and I was proud of how it turned out too, in the sense of like, I went out with that in the really the like in one of the coolest ways where someone had to make themselves vulnerable to take me out. And even like the idea that like, in order for her to even have a chance, she needed to, like take me out as the
Yeah.
front runner. So it was, I guess, an honor as well. But yeah, crazy.
Man, that is a yeah. That's hard. That's a man. If I got there one day, man, I would have such a hard time convincing myself. I think I got there. Like, it had to be so clear that I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, I know. Was there anyone of the four between Heidi, Lauren, Caroline, Jam Jam that you were like, at all costs do not want to sit next to this person if I get to final three?
No, I think I could have beat any of them, and maybe I think it's hard to see that from like the audience perspective,
Yeah.
because a lot of my game is social relationships, and a lot of my social relations were as seen on TV as it was with like Carolyn and Jam Jam, who I was very
Okay.
close to. But a
Yeah.
lot of the reason I was able to get myself to the position I was because of the bonds I built with people, from whether it was from the members of Ratu, who all trusted me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They were always, I got every single information that I could from every single one of the Ratu at all times. It was basically just a resource I could pull from and then maneuver how I needed to propel myself.
Yeah.
Even Soka, Danny was telling me all their secrets.
Yeah.
And I had a close relationship with Franny. So, and Matt. So like I think, and that's why at the final five, even final six, it was very present that there were so many people that had built those relationships with me, and a lot of their reasons that they weren't in the game was because of me. And I would think I would have been able to own that at the final three
Man,
if I were there.
yeah, no, that's insane. I guess I have time for one more question apparently. So let me
Yeah.
ask about your game as a whole, which is one I think was just the theory that I was running with. Was
Yeah.
in this era, in the newer era, people have to swing for the fences more and more and more because there's 13 fewer days. There's more idols and stuff going on. I mean, you had your chaos Carson side, which I think was necessary in this kind of era.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, you pulled in that more reserved strategy pretty early. Was
Yeah.
there a moment where you realized, oh, this is actually working and this can get me somewhere? And then were there any moments where you were heavily considered maybe just stopping that strategy and playing a more front-facing game?
Um, I think I realized that it was working for me when I got to Ret 2,
Mm-hmm.
the Orange Tribe, and I was like, okay, how am I going to get myself in the middle of this tribe? Because I was in the middle of the last tribe, and now I'm
Yeah.
at a new tribe. And so when I was able to successfully maneuver myself in the middle of Lauren and Brandon versus Kane and Matthew, I realized, okay, maybe I am better than I thought I was at this.
Mm.
And from then on out, I used that to my advantage, and like in splitting up Ratu and Soka, and even Carolyn and Janjum at points.
Yeah.
And so I don't, and I never plan to change that. Like I remember so many times where I was like, okay, this is working for me, and everyone that left the game was always very close with me, and they like. And so I knew that I was going to be able to explain that pretty well if I ever made it to a final tribal, specifically with the idea that like, a lot of my game was making you feel like the person that you liked out there was like, was the person that you wanted to see. So if someone wanted me to be their little kid, I was going to be their little kid. If someone wanted me their strategist in I don't know, a strategist with them, I would. If someone just wanted me to be an emotional listening ear, I would be that. And so I was able to morph myself to fulfill those roles that people saw me in, and that made me a lot closer with people than they expected, and I never deviated from that strategy. And I think had I gone and played a more up in front game, like someone like Danny, I would have been taken out, because those people were seen as huge threats, even if, and people who are able to like lay more in the dark and control where the votes are going, I think are seen as way more influential at the end.